The second and corrected version of the Aurora municipal ballot is officially in the mail. Some of Aurora's initial ballots erroneously stated that voters could only vote for one candidate in the at-large city council race, when in fact they can vote for two. Meanwhile, CPT 12 and AARP hosted a mayoral debate featuring Mike Kaufman, Ryan Fraser, and Omar Montgomery, who are running for mayor of Aurora. And you can catch it this Sunday at 5 p.m. and again on November 1st at 9 p.m. Patty, Aurora is Colorado's third largest city. It's the most diverse city in Colorado, one of the most diverse cities in the country. I would think an issue like a ballot screw-up and a mayor's race that's getting a lot of funding is going to attract a lot of attention. What do we need to know about what's going on in Aurora?
Well, it's definitely becoming a bigger city because Denver is usually the city that has the ballot screw-ups. We've talked about them many times around this table, that they forget to put the correct date on or the right amount of postage. So as Aurora becomes a bigger city, of course, it's going to have ballot screw-ups too. It is a really interesting city, starting out as a sleepy farm town, then a bedroom suburb, but now with, 20%, I think, of its population are immigrants. It's a fascinating group because you've got big business still bringing in things like Gaylord and really moving faster than Denver has been on economic incentives, but at the same time, real challenges with an aging Middle Street. The fact that you've got Mike Kaufman, the long-term congressman running for mayor, kind of doing a John Suthers in Colorado Springs, running for mayor here. You've got Ryan Fraser back. You've got Omar, just blanket on his last name. I mean, you've got a really interesting lineup. So the at-large candidates are the least of it. The mayoral race really will change how the direction Aurora is going to go in, and Aurora is really at a crossroads.
David, what do you think about that? You have Ryan Fraser and Mike Kaufman, who, and I'm guessing here, I think they have run up against each other before in another race. I know that Mike Kaufman's run for a lot of different positions, as Ryan Fraser has, because I could be wrong on that. But you have both of them at least representing, I'm not sure if I call it moderate Republican, but at least a pretty conservative side of what's going on in Aurora. Omar Montgomery representing more the progressive side of things. And Aurora, who has a very diverse history supporting Mike Kaufman for a long time, electing Jason Crow in 2018. Really could go any direction. When you look at the city and the different candidates, what's standing out to you?
Well, this is an example of municipal government needs competence, among other things. This was the Adams County Clerk has had some problems in the last election, but this was not their fault. This was a screw-up caused by the Aurora City Clerk's office. They sent the wrong information to Adams County, and then when Adams County sent them back a final copy of the ballot to proofread, they approved it again. So very weak performance. Mike Kaufman, among other things, has been state treasurer and Secretary of State. So if you want somebody to get the clerk's office into a functioning status, he'd probably be a good choice.
Melanie, one of the questions we asked the mayoral candidates was about their opinion about Aurora Public Schools. Now, there are other public school districts within the city of Aurora, since it's a really huge city, but that's clearly a big one. When you look at issues like that and other issues that are in Aurora, what do you think is going to be most important among voters as they go to the ballot box for the city council race, the mayor's race? What are they thinking about?
Yeah, Aurora Public Schools is interesting. They are kind of not as far down like the charter school road as Denver is. They're starting to see a few more charter schools moving into Aurora, and that's been really controversial there. And there's been a lot of pushback from the teachers union, and they now have a new school that is sort of a branch of the DSST charter network, which is the biggest one in Denver. Now they have one in Aurora. So that's been an issue, and yeah, that may matter to voters.
Wendy, when you look at, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Colorado Working Families Party endorsed Omar Montgomery in the mayoral race. But looking at the issues in Aurora, where do you think voters are going to go? What do you think is standing out as the most important things for civic voters in Aurora?
Yeah, I think we saw 2 years ago in 2017 that Aurora voters were hungry for a change. And I think that appetite has only grown in the last 2 years. And I would argue that the city council races are just as important as the mayoral race. In 2017, we saw 3 progressive challengers oust, take back seats in Aurora city government mainly because many people who didn't typically vote in municipal elections started turning out. And given the general energy around elections these days, it seems likely to me that that trend is going to continue in 2019. And that progressives are likely to take a majority of the Aurora City Council. And I think that energy actually is going to trickle up to the mayor's race, and that turnout is going to trickle up and impact the mayor's race.